I just want to speak on behalf of America and say we all love seeing you together. And it's very cool seeing you together.
We would do anything for Jim Burrows because he really gave us the opportunity of a lifetime.
It's been almost 3 decades since Friends first hit our screens. Yet somehow, when you think of Ross, Rachel, Monica, Chandler, Joey, and Phoebe, it still feels like they just left Central Perk yesterday. The laughter, the tears, the awkward dates, the iconic "we were on a break." They became more than characters. They were part of our lives. But time moves on, and so did they. What happened when the cameras stopped rolling, the apartments emptied, and the coffee cups were put away? For some, life after Friends meant blockbuster success and new creative challenges. For others, it was a battle with personal demons, fading fame, or a complete reinvention of who they were. And here's the truth. While we all remember them frozen in the golden glow of the 90s, the reality of where they are now might just surprise you. From headline-making highs to heartbreakingly quiet lows, we're pulling back the curtain on the lives of the 6 stars who defined a generation. Jennifer Aniston. When Friends wrapped in 2004, many wondered if Jennifer Aniston could escape the shadow of Rachel Green. After all, Rachel's fashion sense, comedic timing, and romantic ups and downs had made her one of the most recognizable TV characters of all time. But Jen didn't just escape the shadow, she ran straight into the spotlight. Almost immediately, she became a rom-com queen, headlining films like The Breakup, Marley and Me, and Just Go With It. Hollywood adored her, audiences adored her, and magazines couldn't get enough of her personal life, especially her marriage and eventual divorce from Brad Pitt. Behind the glossy covers, though, Aniston was quietly reshaping her career. She took on more serious roles, like her acclaimed performance in Cake, proving she was far more than just comedic charm. More recently, her return to television in The Morning Show earned her critical praise, a SAG award, and reminded everyone of her dramatic depth. Through it all, she stayed grounded, approachable, and fiercely private about the parts of her life she wants to keep for herself. A rare balance in modern Hollywood. Courtney Cox. Courtney Cox had already tasted fame before Friends, thanks to her role in Family Ties and that unforgettable Bruce Springsteen music video. But it was Monica Geller, the neurotic, competitive, big-hearted chef, that cemented her place in television history. When the show ended, Cox made the bold move to headline Cougar Town, a sitcom that started as a playful jab at middle-aged dating and evolved into a heartfelt comedy about friendship. The show ran for 6 seasons, proving that Cox could carry a series beyond Friends. She also remained a constant presence in the Scream horror franchise, reprising her role as reporter Gale Weathers through multiple decades and generations of fans. Even as trends in Hollywood shifted, Courtney kept finding ways to stay relevant. Sometimes in front of the camera, sometimes behind it, directing episodes of her own projects. In her personal life, she navigated the ups and downs of high-profile relationships, including her marriage to Scream co-star David Arquette, with whom she shares a daughter. In interviews, Cox has been candid about aging in Hollywood, speaking openly about cosmetic procedures she later regretted and the pressure to maintain a certain image. Her honesty struck a chord with fans who had grown up with her. Monica may have been obsessed with perfection, but Courtney has learned to embrace imperfection. Lisa Kudrow. When Friends premiered, Lisa Kudrow was the least well-known member of the cast. Yet her portrayal of Phoebe Buffay, a quirky, big-hearted, guitar-playing eccentric, became one of the show's most beloved elements. Phoebe wasn't just comic relief. She was often the emotional glue of the group, delivering sincerity in the most unexpected ways. After the series ended, Kudrow didn't chase blockbuster stardom. Instead, she carved out a niche that allowed her to work on her own terms. She co-created and starred in The Comeback, an ahead-of-its-time HBO satire about the entertainment industry, which earned her critical acclaim and a cult following. Lisa also proved her range in dramatic roles, appearing in films like P.S. I Love You, Easy A, and The Girl on the Train. But she also embraced the streaming era early, producing and starring in Web Therapy, a web series that transitioned to Showtime and showcased her knack for offbeat humor. Off-screen, Kudrow has been known for her grounded personality. She's fiercely protective of her personal life, rarely appearing in tabloids. Married to French advertising executive Michael Stern since 1995, she has balanced Hollywood success with a stable home life, something rare in the industry. Her choices may not have generated constant headlines, but they've earned her lasting respect as an artist who plays the long game. Kudrow has shown that you can be part of one of the biggest shows in TV history and still reinvent yourself without burning out. Matt LeBlanc. When Friends ended, many assumed Matt LeBlanc's career might slow down. Joey Tribbiani was lovable, hilarious, and endlessly quotable. But the fear was that he'd been typecast forever as the dim-witted actor with a heart of gold. NBC attempted to keep the magic alive with the spin-off Joey, but the show struggled. It lasted just 2 seasons, and critics were quick to call it proof that lightning couldn't strike twice. For a while, it seemed like LeBlanc might fade quietly into the background, but Matt had a surprise in store. After a break from the spotlight, he returned with Episodes, a sharp, self-aware comedy where he played an exaggerated, egotistical version of himself. The show earned him a Golden Globe and proved his comedic instincts were sharper than ever. From there, LeBlanc found another TV home, this time on Top Gear, the legendary British motoring show. His tenure was met with mixed reviews from longtime fans, but it showcased another side of his personality, his genuine love for cars and easygoing hosting style. In his personal life, LeBlanc became known for guarding his privacy. He took long stretches of time off to focus on raising his daughter, Marina, who was diagnosed with a neurological condition as a child. LeBlanc has spoken about how being a father shifted his priorities, making Hollywood far less important than family. By the time he landed Man with a Plan, a CBS family sitcom, it was clear that Matt LeBlanc had carved out a second act on his own terms. No longer just Joey Tribbiani, but a seasoned actor and host who had learned how to navigate fame without letting it consume him. Matthew Perry. Of all the Friends cast members, Matthew Perry's journey after the show may be the most public and the most heartbreaking. Chandler Bing's sarcastic wit made him a fan favorite, but behind the scenes, Perry was quietly fighting a battle that few knew the depth of during the show's run. In the years following Friends, Perry openly revealed his long struggle with addiction to alcohol and prescription medication. The pressures of fame, combined with the physical demands of a network sitcom, had taken a serious toll on his health. He later admitted that there are entire seasons of Friends he doesn't remember filming. Yet, Perry refused to let his story end in tragedy. He used his platform to advocate for addiction recovery, opening a sober living facility in Malibu and speaking openly about his relapses and comebacks. Professionally, Perry experimented with new projects, some successful, like The Odd Couple reboot, and others that were short-lived. He also took on stage work, including his play The End of Longing, which was deeply personal and drew from his own life experiences. Still, his health issues were never far from the headlines. Multiple hospitalizations, surgeries, and extended absences from public life kept fans concerned. When Perry appeared in the Friends reunion special in 2021, some viewers expressed worry over his slurred speech and subdued demeanor. He later clarified that he'd undergone an emergency dental procedure just before filming, but the moment was a reminder of the fragility of his health. Through it all, Matthew Perry remained candid, often self-deprecating about his struggles. His willingness to address addiction head-on has inspired countless fans who saw themselves in his fight. Chandler may have been the king of the punchline, but Matthew Perry's real-life resilience is his greatest legacy. David Schwimmer. While Ross Geller's mix of nerdy charm, awkward romance, and dinosaur obsession made him unforgettable, David Schwimmer was never entirely comfortable with the level of fame Friends brought him. In fact, he's been one of the most private cast members since the show ended. Rather than chasing blockbusters, Schwimmer leaned heavily into theater work. He co-founded the Looking Glass Theater Company in Chicago, a creative home that allowed him to experiment with directing and acting on stage without the blinding glare of Hollywood paparazzi. When he did return to the screen, his choices were deliberate. Roles in Band of Brothers, The People vs. O.J. Simpson, where he earned praise for his portrayal of Robert Kardashian, and various indie films showcased his range. He also lent his voice to the lovable giraffe Melman in the Madagascar animated films, introducing himself to a whole new generation of younger fans. Outside of acting, Schwimmer became an outspoken advocate for victims of sexual harassment and assault, partnering with organizations to raise awareness and create educational campaigns. His activism, while quieter than tabloid headlines, has had a lasting impact. In his personal life, Schwimmer married British artist Zoe Buckman in 2010, and they welcomed a daughter before separating in 2017. Despite the split, the two remain committed co-parents. While he doesn't court the public eye, Schwimmer has embraced occasional Friends nostalgia, participating in reunion events and sharing thoughtful reflections on the show's cultural legacy. For him, fame has always been secondary to craft, and that's exactly how he wants it. In 2021, nearly 2 decades after the Friends finale, the 6 stars reunited on the iconic set for a highly anticipated HBO Max special. It wasn't a scripted episode, it was something more personal. The actors walked through recreated apartments, revisited old storylines, and shared memories that brought both laughter and tears. For fans, it was pure nostalgia. But for the cast, it was also a reminder of how much time had passed. They embraced each other warmly, but you could see the years etched into their faces. The laughter lines, the softer voices, the slower movements. Jennifer Aniston spoke about the anxiety she felt before the reunion, worried about breaking down emotionally. Courtney Cox admitted that while they don't see each other as often as fans might imagine, when they do, it's as if no time has passed. Lisa Kudrow, always the philosophical one, said the real joy was knowing they still genuinely like each other after all these years. Matthew Perry's appearance sparked concern among viewers, though his co-stars quickly defended him, insisting he was doing well and that the love between them all was real. Matt LeBlanc's relaxed demeanor became a meme overnight, with fans dubbing him Irish Uncle Joey for his easy, laid-back charm. David Schwimmer revealed that the group still has a private text thread, though they mostly use it for quick hellos and birthday wishes rather than deep conversations. Life, careers, and family commitments have taken them in different directions, but the bond forged during those 10 years of Friends remains unshakable. The reunion wasn't just a television event, it was a cultural moment. It reminded us that while life moves forward, certain connections endure. The cast may no longer live in the same fictional New York apartment complex, but in the hearts of millions, they'll always be just across the hall from one another. Since the cameras rolled on the HBO Max special, each of the Friends stars has continued carving out their post-sitcom lives, though at a pace far different from their meteoric rise in the 90s. Jennifer Aniston remains one of Hollywood's most bankable stars. she continues her work on the morning show, which has earned her awards buzz and reminded audiences of her ability to blend vulnerability with strength. Off-screen, she's become something of an elder stateswoman in the industry, speaking openly about the pressures of social media, unrealistic beauty standards, and the double-edged sword of fame. Courtney Cox, meanwhile, returned to the big screen as Gale Weathers for yet another Scream installment, delighting fans of the horror franchise. She's also become a warm, relatable presence on Instagram, often posting videos of herself playing music or joking around with friends. Proof that even Monica Geller can loosen up. Lisa Kudrow has leaned further into producing, helping develop fresh comedy projects, while occasionally popping up in quirky guest roles that remind us why her comedic timing is unmatched. Matt LeBlanc has largely stepped away from television hosting to focus on more personal projects. While he's hinted at returning to acting, he's equally happy spending time away from the spotlight, especially with his daughter. David Schwimmer keeps one foot in Hollywood and the other firmly planted in advocacy work. His acting appearances are selective, but when he chooses a role, it's with purpose. Projects that challenge him creatively or have something meaningful to say. Matthew Perry's life remains under the watchful eye of concerned fans. His memoir, filled with raw honesty about his addiction struggles and brushes with death, became a bestseller and further cemented his legacy as someone willing to lay himself bare in the hopes of helping others. It's clear that while Friends was the role of a lifetime for each of them, it's not the whole story. Their careers and lives have evolved, but the echoes of their time together still shape how we see them and how they see themselves. Nearly 3 decades after Friends first aired, its 6 stars are still intertwined in our collective memory. We quote their lines without thinking, we hum along to "I'll Be There For You," and we still picture that orange couch in Central Perk, like it's waiting for us to drop by. But seeing where they are now reminds us of something deeper. Time moves on for everyone, even the people who once felt immortal in our eyes. Careers evolve, friendships change shape, health, happiness, and personal priorities take precedence over chasing the next big hit. The magic of Friends wasn't just in the jokes or the romances, it was in watching 6 very different people grow together, stumble together, and love each other through it all. In that way, their real lives mirror the show. Not perfect, not always easy, but filled with moments worth holding on to. So maybe that's why the Friends reunion wasn't really an ending at all. It was a reminder that while the cameras stopped rolling, the connection remains, and that's something time can't erase. Now I want to hear from you. Which Friends cast member's journey after the show surprised you most? And do you think there will ever be another sitcom that captures hearts the way Friends did? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into the lives of the cast, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss the untold stories, the behind-the-scenes truths, and the updates you won't find anywhere else. Because while the show may be over, the story of its stars is still being written, and we'll be here to tell it.